Hey everybody, welcome to the Real News with Lucretia Hughes. We are out here in Fayette County, Georgia. We actually came to the breakfast this morning. We had some very great, important speakers. And the reason why I am here today is because our chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, which is Josh, is sitting right here, was just endorsed by the Veterans for America First. So everybody, and for the ones that are watching right now online, I just want to introduce you to my chairman of the Georgia GOP, Josh McKoon.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you, Josh. Now, I tried to get you to run back for Senate because I just felt like you had a bigger impact, or maybe a governor. I think you would make a bigger impact. But as the chairman of the Georgia GOP this last cycle, how are you bringing it back up from the other chairmen? What sets you aside from the rest of them, from Watson all the way to Paget? What do you want to see in your tenure to keep doing as you win the next election cycle?
When I got elected in 2023, we were really in a challenging moment for the party. Chairman Schaefer did a great job for 4 years, but we had D.A. Willis in Fulton County coming after our Republicans. We didn't know who our presidential candidate was going to be. And so we had some work to do. And I'm really proud of the work, not just my work, but the work of our team as a Georgia Republican Party did. We were able to carry Georgia for Donald Trump. That's the first federal statewide win for the Georgia Republican Party since 2016. We won every Republican-held congressional seat. We returned majorities to our state legislature. We moved over 130 counties more red than 2020. So we had a great election. We had our attorneys that we paid for in the Willis witch hunt have gotten her disqualified. We're basically at the last step now. I think the Georgia Supreme Court's going to deny her appeal. And then we're finally going to see that case against Trump and so many of our fellow Republicans will finally fall apart, be exposed. And so that kind of puts us on a footing now to just accelerate what we did in 2024, because now that I'm not going to have to, raise money for all these legal bills, we're going to be able to really focus and lean in on political action in 2025 and in 2026. So I'm really excited about this opportunity we have to keep winning, to make sure we fire John Ossoff, that we elect Republicans to the governor's mansion on it.
Now, you said we have a stronger hold, the Republican Party, in 130 counties. We know that there's 159 counties. So that means that's the other part is Democrats. I know that I was over here in a conversation we was talking about trying to take down the Cascade Mafia or the city of Atlanta. Well, we know that Republicans don't have a pace in hell of winning or taking it down because there's so much corruption and power from one community, Cascade, pretty much where they come from. How do you think we can make a foothold in Atlanta if that's going to be one of our key focuses?
Yeah, so, part of the overall strategy to grow the Republican Party statewide is that we have to offer candidates everywhere. We can't say, oh, that's a no-go zone. That area's turned blue, we're never getting it back. Because that attitude is an attitude that is going to send us into the minority in the state fairly quickly. So I don't disagree with anything you've said about how challenging and difficult it can be to win these elections. But we've got to go out, we've got to recruit quality, conservative voices so that we can get into communities and have these conversations and not just simply say, let me tell you how great the Republican Party is, but to listen and say, what are the issues that are impacting your community and how can we as Georgia Republicans respond to those concerns? I mean, one of the things that I learned getting to know Misha Maynard over the last couple of years, one of the things she said to me is, I grew up in this community. This is all I've sort of known my whole life other than maybe going off getting some education. the same people, the same party has been governing that area for 50 years, and things have only gotten worse. So, President Trump kind of famously said it the first time around, what the hell do you have to lose? We've got to, though, build on that and say, here are real candidates that are in your community that want to help you solve these problems that these folks that y'all have had in office for 50 years haven't done a thing about.
Absolutely. We can look at Newton County, District 4. We can go down to Macon County, Savannah County. We can take it around Metro Atlanta. It's not getting better, but they're spreading out their tactics. They're coming into like the red strongholds. We're out of Walton County. So, we're surrounded by Athens, Gwinnett, and Newton County, which are strongholds. What can we do out there in Walton County to make sure that we continue to be a red stronghold, but also branch out to other low, like you said, propensity voters to go out there and have a cordial conversation? What would you say about that? How would you train some of the, especially the youngers? Let's take, because I believe the young Republicans is very great. I think that's going to be their boots on the ground, being out there talking to people, not children, people their age. When we have a lot of older people in our party, a lot of them are not going to do that because they don't want to be attacked regularly. So the ground game is the young Republicans.
No question, you got to have young Republicans involved. We also need more of a year-round staffing footprint. So, when we just finished the election in 2024, we had dozens, maybe over 100 people that were directly working for the Georgia Republican Party, helping us turn out the vote and connecting with these grassroots activists and making sure we're maximizing that volunteer activity. Well, in the off cycle, typically, and like right now, you heard somebody say it during the meeting, we've got a couple of full-time employees, and they're primarily administrative in the office. We've got to, when we leave that convention in Dalton, one of my chief jobs is going to be to raise funds so we can go ahead and hire some additional full-time staff to deploy in the off year. That's what Turning Point Action is doing right now. They have full-time employees working in Georgia right now in 2025. The Georgia Republican Party needs to do that as well, because to your point, you're not going to have everybody in this room on a hot July afternoon in Georgia.
They're not going out there
knocking doors and doing a lot of this grassroots activity we've got to do. So absolutely we've got to leverage our young Republicans, but we also need to have some additional staff.
Yes, you have people like Cooper Whitmire, you got Emory, you got McKoon, Stembridge, a lot of these people that are stepping out there, and that's going to bring the blood, our blood, because if you don't have kids or you don't have youth, you don't have a party, you don't have a church. How will you use the young Republicans to actually help build and mold the Republican Party towards that future?
So one of the things I intend to do, obviously we have our elected state executive committee, but one of the things I really wanted to do and planning to do in the next term is to have an advisory board, a chairman's circle, if you will. And I really want that disproportionate share of younger Republican activists who are at that table. Because just by the nature of the way these elections are, you typically don't have that group represented when we have a state executive committee meeting, or they're underrepresented in the state committee meeting. So it won't be limited to just young people, but I certainly intend to get them involved there, give them a seat at the table, and again, do a lot of listening.
Now, when I'm talking about young, I'm talking about us too now. We Generation X, so we're not there.
We're still young.
We're still young. So we
you and I are in agreement on that.
I mean, we got to pick up the pieces in order to leave that lasting legacy, and I think that's what you're going to leave inside of the state of Georgia. Now, we know for a fact, well, I do, that Georgia GOP has been fighting lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits for at least a decade, and that's where a lot of money has been going to, and I believe that is the Democratic game plan, is to wear you out in court, make you run out of money, put your gag out there so you can't go get your funds while they having all of this offshore money coming into the state of Georgia. Can we do it too? Can we pull they book and then use their battle plans too?
So look, a lot of what we did in 2024, and I talked about this today, we filed a lot of lawsuits to protect the election integrity laws that are on the books, to make sure that we stopped Democrats from cheating. And we were largely successful in that There's always more work to do. We need more laws passed by the legislature. But really, to your point, the biggest issue we were having from a lawfare perspective was this Willis case, this criminal case. And I believe we are very close to that being over with. One of the things we've had a lot of success with, though, is finding new people that want to invest in the Georgia Republican Party. We had a very successful fundraiser last week in Atlanta. We raised over $300,000. One of the biggest groups that participated in that fundraiser was the Georgia Hindu American Coalition. And that is a connection that was made by a conversation at the May 2024 State Convention. And we have grown that relationship now to a point where they feel very confident to invest in what we're doing. So whoever the chairman is, and I want to be that person for another 2 years, you've got to be constantly going out and building those relationships and reaching out and saying, we need that investment so we don't get in the situation we're talking about where we don't have the funds to fight the election.
I'm supposed to say you. Take it out. Get out of our mouth.
No, look, I think we've got a great record to run on.
Because some of them watching right now.
I think we've got a great record to run on. Generally, when I start a conversation about this race, I say, what did you want out of the Georgia Republican Party in 2024?
Our family, country, and our money back.
And most people will say, in addition to that, they'll say, I wanted us to put Donald Trump in the White House. And it's sort of you remember when you were in school, sometimes you have a pass-fail test. This is a pass-fail exam, right? We got Donald Trump elected. We sent every Republican member back to Congress, providing the majority to get Speaker Johnson in. We returned Republicans to the State House and the State Senate. We took over 130 of the 159 counties and moved them further to the right. I feel like that is a record to be very proud of. And I think that is a record that, has given me the opportunity to ask for a renewal of my contract, if you will, as a state party chairman. So no, I feel like we've got a lot to be proud of as Georgia Republicans. I think we had a wonderful 2024. I think I'm the right person to lead us into 2026, and I think we can do these important things that need to happen. But again, we're not Alabama, we're not Oklahoma. This is a competitive state. That's why this race matters. You mentioned earlier about running for high public office, and that's very kind of you to say. But one of the reasons that I feel like this is such an important role is I think it's the difference between winning and losing. And I think we made that difference in 2024 with putting Donald Trump over the top. I think we can do it again in 2026 by firing us off and keeping the governor's position.
We have 2 years to teach teach our conservative groups, our Republican Party, how to vet, how to find verified, qualified candidates, not somebody that's got a stick up their butt, but actually what the Republican principles are, what the Georgia platform, GOP platform is, what it takes to vet somebody, and what we're looking for as a Republicans, and who we want to against for leaders. Have you thought about taking out of the 130 counties a teacher to teach groups exactly the core values of a Republican and a Republican brand, so we don't get it confused with Democrats?
So a couple things about that. In terms of our volunteer leadership, we have a lot of new county chairs. So one of the things we're going to be rolling out is a mentorship program where we pair a new county chairman with someone that has a lot of experience that can help them make sure that they keep this positive momentum going that we established in 2024. But the other thing that we're getting ready to put together is a task force on candidate recruitment. The Democratic Party has a vice chair. His whole job is recruiting candidates. And what I'm talking about, going back to our earlier conversation, there are a lot of offices that we had no one qualified for in 2024. State legislature,
that was left empty.
That we did not have a Republican run. And so what I want to do is stand up a task force of a lot of these people you're talking about and say, look, I need your help. I can't do this by myself. I need y'all to look at these seats. We've got a list of them. Help us go find not just somebody to put a name on the ballot. Let's find high quality people that you and I are proud of to represent the Republican Party, because that's how we grow.
Oh, my chairman already does that. That's James Cooper.
He knows what he's doing.
He
He knows
knows.
what he's doing.
Well, he was trained by King Young.
Mhm.
So that's who taught me, and James Cooper taught me a lot. And when you're really thirsty and hungry for the knowledge, you sit there, you take your bite, and you keep biting until how do you take down an elephant one bite at a time?
Well, and Chairman Cooper really did a great job of identifying opportunities in the 2028 cycle that aren't these top ticket offices that get a lot of discussion. But he's such a great strategic thinker and really did a great job of picking those opportunities, finding quality candidates, and taking advantage of those opportunities, getting our people elected. So he's a great member of our executive team, and I really enjoyed serving with him.
And he's not scared to go in neighborhoods that most people won't go into. So that's why I love James, because he taught me even when I was green behind the ears. So just being a part of the Republican Party, I have learned more than I have learned in a long time. So when we know that the convention is going to be in Dalton, why didn't y'all pick Dalton, Georgia?
Great question. So the Georgia Republican Party, one of the things I talked about when I ran is that we're not the Atlanta Republican Party, we're the Georgia Republican Party. We're a statewide
You
organization.
see my face?
And yes.
You stepped on toes.
And so we put together a committee, first time ever, had representation from every congressional district, and we said to that committee, we want y'all to go find where we're going to have the state convention. We don't want anybody saying it's me picking it or one or two people picking it. And they came back to us with a couple of options. The state committee chose Dalton. I think it's the first time the convention is going to be in Dalton, and I think that's a great thing. We need to be truly statewide. We need to get out of Atlanta when we have these meetings. And I'm very excited about it. I think people are really going to enjoy their experience. I know the 14th Congressional District is so excited about the opportunity to host. So, if you're thinking, am I going to make that trip or am I going to make that
Oh,
trip?
there's a Buc-ee's up there. I'm making it.
We're going to have a great time. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some good speakers. We're not quite ready to roll those out yet. We're going to have a great experience. And we're going to elect a great team that's going to lead us to victory in 2026.
All right then. Now, this is the last question. You want to come to the rally next week?
When and where?
At our house, the Faith of Fear. This is our 14th rally. We my husband Dave, myself and Dave, we try to have at least 2 to 3 rallies a year at the house, because waiting for somebody else to get up and do something, then you're gonna be waiting for a very long
You've been
time.
waiting a long time.
And asking people to help you pay for it, and you might well forget about it if you're not doing it for the right reasons. So next week is the Faith of Fear, celebrating veterans and first responders, because they get no love.
Yes.
And so we're having 3 bands come in at the bar. Basically, they are heavy metal patriotic bands.
No, they're not.
What are they?
He's more country.
Oh, they're country.
More country than
I'm gonna have some rap.
But patriotic
They
bands.
say
the patriotic. It's all patriotic
I'm
music.
all patriotic, and it's fun, food, and family. The money that we raise that day is going to go back to Walton County, because Walton County is a very strong red district, and I want to make sure that our new sheriff, Keith Brooks, is actually going to be coming to speak. That he gets the recognition to keeping our county safe and secure. So I am offering you. Next weekend, you get a free plate. We're going to have real steak things. I'm cooking all of this.
Okay, I'm coming.
It starts at 12. You don't have to stay there all day. Miss Vivian Childs, Mama Vivian, is coming up. She's going to be opening up the whole entire thing. We have, like I said, instead of having all these speakers coming from out of state, all around the country, coming. I'm my chairman. I told Dave, I said, I'm going to see if he can come.
Okay.
So that's
We'll
pretty
be
much.
there.
You
We'll be
will?
there. Yes. We'll see you there.
Oh, did you get a shirt?
I did
No,
not.
you got a
You go-
flyer right.
I'm gonna
Give
get
him a shirt.
shirt.
There's a
You
flyer
know
right
what you
behind
gotta
you.
deal with so much? How many of you have faith or fear? And do you know what you have to walk through? Fire. So keep praying.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know what? When somebody wants to open up a conversation, just say, "We the people told you so." And then they're going to ask you, "What did you tell us?" And you're going to say about the economy, about our state of affairs, about everything. And that's just a great opener of who the man you truly are. It's not politics on a regular basis because you wear your faith in your heart and your sleeve. So you might as well wear it on your shirt.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Josh, I just want to say thank you. And he's the new endorsement for the Veterans for America First. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.